It's finally great to catch up with you. I know SkillUp has been one of the leading skilling platforms out there, and I think especially during a time like this, when people are looking, are confined to their homes, and it's a great opportunity that platforms like SkillUp provide this. The aspiring youngsters as well as, I mean, there's no age for learning new things, right? So can you say how the journey of SkillUp started?
How the journey of SkillUp started, well, has a little bit of my own journey in it.
Yes.
I have about 25 years of learning industry and IT service industry experience. Uh, 10 of those years was at Microsoft as one of the key roles was the director of worldwide content development. And then last couple of years, I was the director for online training product, which meant transforming learning commercial training that Microsoft provides through its learning partners, how to transform that with the ever evolving workforce globally, and how do you kind of inject more modern skilling in it. So that was my role. But then before that, the first part of my journey was in India, where I launched India's largest web store for IT products, and then also ran a learning services company. My journey itself started with a training and learning organization, NIIT, and we did content for global clients, including Microsoft, Thomson Netgy, and later Gartner Learning. So there's a lot of learning content development, whether it was e-learning or instructor-led training that I'd built. Now, having done some a business setup prior to joining Microsoft in that learning services company, and then my Microsoft experience, I think the timing was right to say, how is learning evolving? Can I do something new, which is not being done in the industry, and the time is right as newer and future skilling is taking place to have a modality which offers blended learning to learners worldwide. And so that's how I left Microsoft job in 2015 to set up SkillUp Technologies as a transformational learning organization, providing services to customers, enterprises, academic institutes, SMBs, or even governments or workforce development programs for modern learning and skilling. And then a second part of that was providing those services, and second part was showing how to do that through our own platform called SkillUp Online, and really trying to judge what is not being offered in the marketplace today. So while everybody has gone towards MOOCs and online learning, video-based training, gamification, but true skilling, where you are marrying a human with self-paced learning like an e-learning modality, and you bring best of both the worlds together for giving the power still to the learner to learn and get deeply skilled. And it's become even more important in this pandemic times. But that's how the journey of SkillUp started.
It's actually fascinating. I think even like when you're talking about 2015, not many skilling platforms were there. I think the transition was happening. I can, maybe Coursera or one or two of the bigger names, and now there are so many players in the field. What was the challenge you guys faced when you were setting up SkillUp back in 2015?
The challenge we faced, obviously, when you set up at a startup phase, you have a lot of good ideas. You want to go and make them happen, but you don't have the business. It's still a newer business. You have to go and talk to customers and make them understand what are we really talking about. That was one. Second is a good and solid team, and being able to build that was important. So I was lucky to kind of have, while the SkillUp was set up in the US, I needed to expand and build a solid infrastructure globally so that we can handle global clients. Many of their employees and customers are spread globally. So I was lucky to bring on Ratan as the CEO for our SkillUp Online and India offices early in the cycle. So that was the second challenge. The third challenge is obviously bringing the business up, bringing the, going after initial customers, getting the breaks that you need to get some of your ideas implemented and showcased. I think we've been really lucky because some of our early customers with my Microsoft background was Microsoft, the learning partners that we were engaged with. So a lot of learning organizations and enterprise customers give us the opportunity to do certain pilots. So that helped. And Ratan was able to help with setting up and delivering some of the mentoring and teaching services based out of India. So all in all, I think the team and the opportunities helped us. But I'll let Ratan chime in as well.
Yes, yes. So then I want to ask you, Ratan, tell me how SkillUp is like differentiating itself from other platforms out there. What makes SkillUp unique in its own way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's what, that's the first thing that really fascinated me into joining SkillUp. So when I met JPS, back in 2015, it was really fascinating to see the whole edtech space. And as you also rightly pointed out, that back then there were not a lot of players, but we all knew that this market is warming up. There's a lot of digital adoption happening. So this was exciting. But I think overall, I think JPS's vision and thoughts in terms of how he was looking at the whole market and the industry evolving was really, what got me interested into the vision and what we were trying to do at SkillUp. Now, when we talk about online learning, and even today, the biggest of MOOC platforms, let's not name them, but they believe that when you sort of convert the content from a physical to online, that the job is done. The customers,
Yes.
learners can come in, but our journey really starts, and our thinking really starts, at that. And what we say is, and it's not that what we say, I mean, the data as well shows, if you look at the trends of the largest of MOOC platforms, we've been fortunate enough to work with the biggest MOOC platforms, partner with them, and we also are partners with the technology leaders like Microsoft, IBM, and other big technology leaders. So when we do these partnership projects, we understand that uh, a lot of these learning programs, the vanilla online learning programs, the completion rates, so people, either if they're free or paid, people would enroll, but the completion rates are less than 8%. And that's a very specific, I mean, and that's a general trend. You can make as engaging content as you like, but in a learning cycle of, let's say, a month's course or a 6 months course, the engagement drops, the motivation drops, and a lot of those physical elements in a physical classroom that are there, when they're not on an online world, people start dropping out, people stop performing. And that's what at SkillUp Online we are focusing on, right? So we are really saying, how can we bring in the best of physical world into the online space? The online is the online world, online learning has now reached a level where we cannot ignore it. It has to happen. The amount of upskilling that needs to happen, uh, India or worldwide, it cannot be supported, it cannot be sustained by physical infrastructure. You need to have digital online learning. But to really drive those meaningful learning outcomes, you need to, get in those physical elements in the online world. So that is what we are focusing on. We are focusing on the smallest and minutest of details in terms of how, what are the causes of that intrinsic motivation in learner, what is it that's missing. We are paying very, very, a sharp focus and attention on, with every run of our course in the digital world, we're seeing what is working for them, what is not working for them, and we're trying to fine tune our mentoring services, our platform. We're also big on technology. So this is what JPS and I often talk about is, we have to leverage technology and innovation in the evolution of Scale Up Online, right? So be it implementing AI-based chatbots, be it implementing social learning through partnerships or inbuilt capabilities. We are out there looking and brainstorming every single week, every single day, to make it innovative, to make it a transformational learning platform. which can truly drive deeper learning outcomes for the learner.
I completely agree with you, Ratan, because I myself was guilty of signing up for so many online programs and they're dropping off halfway. And I had to completely agree with what you said. Most of the learning services, I think their job is over once they, convert the physical analog text into a digital format, right? They might have one or two videos and then it's all PDFs here and there and links to other PDFs, things like that, right? And if you're lucky enough you'll get a multiple choice questionnaire. uh, but how so I personally have two way of when we why in SkillUp interested us a lot more is most is one, how you use the technology like AI and data for helping the learner as a platform which also offers learning opportunities into these technologies as well. So my question is, what is the role of technology, especially AI, data analytics, things like that, right now in optimizing the how do you say the skilling material?
Yeah, so well, I'll take a shot and Ratan can
Yeah, bro.
continue. So I think I continue from the previous thread and also answer how you're using technology. So our core market or the opportunity is not the 8% of learners that Ratan talked about, which, a lot of aggregators of content focus on that. It's easier. You set up a subscription service or you set up a freemium model, and the most motivated of folks, and that's the call it in different names, right? You early adopters or most motivated, those 5 to 8% will come in and consume on their own. All they need is access to good content, some guidance, and they will learn on their own. The other majority, 95% to 98%, 95 to 93% majority of folks need some sort of a push, guidance, a nudge to kind of take them through. And so that's where the instructor or classroom infrastructure, a structured learning process comes in play, whether you have boot camps or you have classroom training or you have in our school, our parents, the teachers, and the peers, the peer pressure, all of that puts the pressure for somebody to really go ahead and learn, right? So now how do you do that in a professional environment on these topic areas is what we are focused on. So we need to understand how can the platform give us data around what is the learner behavior that is taking place. One, that entire segment has also got very distributed now. We can no longer say there's a one preferred learning style and that this is the style that works. If a video works for somebody who's very comfortable in consuming content on mobile, which many of us are, then it works better. Another person likes reading through. But the good old instructional methodologies of saying you learn the most by doing things, by interacting with experts, and by doing a real world project, right? Those are the fundamentals. And that's how our learning programs get built. Like while there's core content, there is foundational, then there's a learning path. You go to, fundamentals and expert and advanced, but practical hands-on experiences are weaved in at all levels. And an instructor, mentor, coach, peers, all of them are again embedded. So this answering again, continuing on the first part of the conversation. The second is how do we use technology? So one is to know how our own platform, we are able to dig very minute level of details, a lot of metrics that tell us which learner is stuck on which area. Is the learner having a problem on an assignment? Then the instructor and coach is ready to ping or nudge, or our teaching assistants are ready to help, saying, it seems like you were streaming through in module 1, but module 2 assignment is a problem. Can I help you? Here are some other articles. In our next one-on-one sessions, we can then get into and dive deeper into that. So again, we're using some of that data and access to get prepared to how to nudge. What are the areas? Hence, it becomes an extremely customized intervention. It is not one size fits all. As our mentors, coaches get engaged in, they are really targeting your style and what areas are you stuck in. So that's one. Then there are other areas like a discussion board and forums. Then we're continuing to push forward on that, having a group discussion that can be rated and graded is as important so that you can nudge up a learner's scores on how they responded and helped anybody else learn. So we are trying to put those metrics in place. And then our AI and chatbots that we have put in, saying some base level queries can be addressed through that. And anybody who has a deeper challenges on a lab or exercise where they really need help of an expert gets addressed in a one-to-one session and all of that. So hence, we're really targeting to move them along in their learning cycle and hence achieve the outcome and gain the confidence. But I'll let, on the technological side, I'll let Ratan talk a little bit more, but data and AI definitely, but anything else, Ratan, that you would add?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, JPS, and I can just add a couple of more examples. I think that'll sort of bring some more add to the conversation. So one of the examples, the initiatives we took a few months back, actually starting last year, is building those AI-powered chatbots. So basically, they are those chatbot mentors, if you will, who are available 24/7 for the learners. We purely used AI, Watson technology on the IBM side, and then Microsoft as well. We have both versions for some of our courses. And what that does is that while the learner is going through the content and everything, and he doesn't even have to wait for our instructor to come in on discussion board or a one-on-one session, he can just type in his query. And based on that AI algorithm and whatever that AI chatbot is learning every day with every answer that's coming through, improving itself, the chatbot will support you. And we've sort of made it sophisticated to a level where all fundamental level 1 queries gets taken care of. Now we continue to improve it, and the goal is to sort of really take it at a level where it's even able to handle level 2 or SME level queries. But that's a journey that we're on. So that's one use case scenario where AI is really helping online learning platform like SkillUp Online. Another one I could think of is, I think data part you've covered well, JPS. So I think, yes, we are constantly looking at data and how we can understand learner behavior and have those interjections from the physical world just in time to support and motivate the learners. The third aspect, okay, let me add this as well, is the social learning. Now, one of the reasons why, one of the advantages of physical learning is it's got this social element, right? So in a classroom, you have colleagues, you have co-learners, you are able to interact, take side notes, have those cohorts, right? And we really recognize the importance of social learning. While the formal instructors are there, the hands-on work is there, the videos are there, but the element of social learning is extremely important to learner's motivation. It directly sort of engages the learner, and we've sort of continued to invest on social learning. So I think very soon, starting probably next week or the week after, we are really looking at redefining the way social learning used to happen on any platform for that matter. We are really launching a very addictive, very motivating social learning capability within our platform, which will really help learners to engage with all other fellow learners and be a source of motivation for them. So that's another investment of technology for us. But if you look at the core principles, cognitive learning theory, social learning theory, we are really strong on those foundational psychometric and learning theories and values. But definitely technology is a key enabler in achieving those learning outcomes and implementing those theories. So I think we are at such a phenomenal time of our lives. So we often, discuss and say that this is such a great time to be alive because technology is making things possible that a decade back we never thought will be. So
then,
about
sorry, just to add on technology side, while we're talking about how we use data and AI, the other aspect of technology is a lot of products have shifted online. So with this cloud enablement, Today, what you could give a learner hands-on practice on, earlier when I was at Microsoft too, we would set up lab environment. So a server would be set up. So if you are in India and if you go to an IIT, IT education, you're doing a Microsoft Exchange setup or any of those setup, you have to have a lab environment set up, and that's a physical environment so that students can practice. But otherwise, they will not get a real scenario on how do you configure a Windows server or any of that. Now, a lot of that, all are cloud. Everything is moved to the cloud. That's kind of done. Now, you still need labs, but you could spin up a cloud instance. There is at a lower cost and real practice what anybody with the best of infrastructure can do, a student can do. So how we develop content and get them to engage on that and the mentors and coaches to support that has also evolved. So we focus a lot on this hands-on lab. Again, the key element from learning theories perspective, we still believe strongly on the KSAO model, KSAO. So knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics or even occupational experiences. So we're really thinking about saying, how do you get the right knowledge? If it's an AI curriculum or professional cert we are doing, how do you make sure you build skills with these labs and gain confidence because you're actually trying to perform those tasks? And then how do you get the abilities to go and deliver in a real world scenario? So we have to think through how we bring some of the projects with our partnerships with the industry and have the students practice and probably even get paid if they have reached that advanced and expert level. So we are kind of, nobody else is doing things. Some are trying it. It's got, practicum, and everybody's scratching the surface on that. We're really trying, we are doing that too, like many others, but we really feel that journey is very important. And then it gets completed when you can really get the learner, specifically the new workforce, into a job. And if a hiring manager can interview and say, I have a very clear transcript and a rich data set that SkillUp can provide saying this person scored much better on these topics and was able to also deliver a project which was accepted by the client. And here is the points that this person has aggregated. And again, some of this thought process, there's not an industry standard on it. Some of this thought process is new. So we believe we can become a leader in the way this gets taken place with the use of technology in today's industry, specifically for the workforce and employability side of things.
I think that's a very innovative step forward, right? When an employer can see where your employee's strength lies in, right? It will be a much better way rather than going through the whole experience process. Now, since we are speaking about AI, recently NASCOM published a report saying like AI will add at least $500 billion value to India's economy in the coming years. By 2025. And we know our as a country our biggest asset is human resource. I mean, we are blessed with so many natural resources, but our brains, our minds, we have, I mean, if you walk into the Silicon Valley, you can see folks from Satya Narala, Sundar Pichai to Aravind Krishna, all are the Indian brains. So but we also often come across this point that there is a shortage between what the industry want and what we are offering, right? There is a, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we don't have enough infrastructure to provide the adequate training for these youngsters, right? I mean, even though there are so many private colleges out there, they won't meet the same standards as an IIT or an IIM or an ISI or triple IT meets. So, how important do you think that upskilling to AI and data science at this point? How the world is changing. Like you said, everyone is coming digital, and everyone is now adopting to data. Adapt these technologies because it's going to optimize their business, it's going to improve their business, and it will be that way going forward. So, how important you feel that is?
It's extremely important. And I'll kind of talk about, we are at a cusp of phenomenal change that is taking place, right? And the pandemic has just
Yeah.
exacerbated the situation further. And that is the demand that you're mentioning, billions of dollars worth of work that is needed on AI, machine learning, and data science, right? And there's a gap, there's a skills gap with existing workforce to get retrained and reskilled, but also new skills being developed with youngsters who are coming in because the job market is changing. there's this job displacement that is taking place. There are people, the nature of job is changing, and so a lot of jobs are going away, while new definition of what that job means with the future of workforce that includes more AI, automation, machine learning, and those pieces are coming and becoming more and more important. In such a phenomenal shift taking place, skilling becomes so important, right? So that's one job shift that's happening. The second aspect is the gig that more and more people have started thinking about, how do I go and participate in a gig economy? When I'm hiring youngsters now in our own organization, it's a very different conversation I have with youngsters who are coming in. And I'm saying, you have no longer the benefit that we had. Our parents had a further benefit. They would get married to a job, a position, a company,
Yeah.
right? When I went into the workforce, I was married to a line, right? Am I an engineer? Am I a doctor? Am I an IT professional? And then I could change jobs, but I could still broadly
Yeah.
have a long track. The youngsters don't have any of that, because even if they commit to something, the way the job market and the workforce is changing, they could be displaced. So they need to build a newer skill, which is adapting. Not that we did not need it, but they need it even more than anything. And they need these skills in multiple areas. And part of that gig economy is that saying, okay, if something is in demand, I can go and get my profile up. I don't mind doing a contract work here and a contract work there. Now think about that with the pandemic and remote work that has kicked in. So now skilling, while that is an issue for organizations and their hiring and what they're trying to do, it is also an individual issue. So earlier, when I started my work for my company, if I got a job, a lot of my reskilling would get taken care by the organization too, saying which area. So some of that is continuing to happen right now. But the owners, now you're needing both. You need organizations where they have the workforce, but also individuals to now start thinking, how do I skill up? Otherwise, I'm not going to get into the workforce. And I need consulting, I need coaching and guidance, and I need to brush up my professional skills as much as I have to brush up my technology and internet skills. So I think that's, given all of those changes that are taking place, it is extremely important for the future workforce to be built with partnerships with the government, with entities like NASCOM, with enterprises, and directly reaching out to consumers as well, saying even if it is even more paramount, direct learners, even more paramount if you want to skill up on your own and be relevant for demands that gig economy is offering you, and earn more and have a better career. You need to really be up to speed on what shifts are taking place and things like that.
Sorry, I couldn't agree more. I think for India, for US, for any country, I think getting AI ready is mission critical. It is a mandate because, I mean, whatever reports we are reading from, World Economic Forum, from NASCOM, from KPMG, all the big trade pundits, experts, past 2 years, and COVID has obviously accelerated that, right? But everybody's saying, and there are few numbers, they come to me in different forms, but what they're really saying, not just India level, but global level, is 50% of the workforce will need to reskill themselves in the next 3 to 5 years. So the latest report I was reading is the job market outlook by World Economic Forum. Similar message, different numbers, different stats. One of the stats very interesting to me was uh, by 2025, 85%, 85 million jobs will be displaced, and 97 new jobs are expected to be created on AI, data science, cybersecurity, and all these future skills. So I think what the message JP is also giving, I think absolutely mission critical in terms of being AI ready. I think AI is going to play a pivotal role in the skills that are going to be needed in the future. And I just want to add one more point. I think the rate of change. So and it's happening across industries. A few decades back, a car company would launch a model and then rest for the next 3 years or 5 years. This year, nowadays, if they don't do a model upgrade every year, they are outdated. technology is even more disruptive. The Azures and the Watsons of the worlds, the Google, if they don't, roll out feature updates every quarter, actually it's coming down to a monthly release now. If they don't do that, they are getting, outdated. So what that means for skilling people, that they need to be upskilling every quarter, every 6 months, and actually at the end of the year, really look at what is the next big change and sort of upskill to it. Even data science and AI, the way this technology was working a couple of years back, it's changed a lot, because all the R&D being done by IBMs and Microsofts and Googles of the world, they are really improving their algorithms, they're improving things, they're improving the products that they have, uh, and in years to come it will continue. So having those physical colleges, by the time a college admits a first year student and they have their 4 year curriculum planned, what they're going to teach in second and third year is all obsolete unless they plug in the online learning options, unless they plug in the latest and greatest. And that is why the future is where I think so. The key message I was trying to say was that even professionals and students need to get into a mindset of constant upskilling and reskilling. They cannot say that I have done my IIT, I have arrived in my life, like a decade back people would say. It's no more the case. You got to be constantly upskilling, not just the students, but professionals, people in our age, 30, 40, 50 years old. We all have to constantly upskill. Otherwise, we'll get obsolete.
I completely agree with your message, Ratan and JPS. So I mean, one thing, one advantage online platforms has is, I mean, we have seen coming to regular academic curriculums, they get refreshed in a span of what, 5 years, 3 years. I don't think that happens in 3 years, right? But like you said, by the time you refresh the curriculum will, we are in a position where the curriculum will be obsolete. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the advantages of having online platforms like SkillUp, which constantly evolving, as the new technology is coming and, making change happen. That, like you both said, JP and Ratan pointed out, AI is going to be crucial going forward. Is there any particular trend you are seeing in your platform that substantiate that there are more interest in AI? And what are the trends now you are seeing after this COVID-19 on your platform?
Yeah, well, one of the trends that we are seeing, just the demand of AI courses has gone up tremendously. Now, when I was, let me put it like this, when I was at Microsoft, uh, uh, and I was giving a reference to in 2013, probably I launched uh, 13 and 14. We launched on edX platform some top courses where we wanted to go to the MOOC model and really explore and capture new audiences. And course, or even when I think about doing it in our learning partner channel world, when I was at Microsoft, um, it also shows the way the world has adopted to online and what move is happening, and obviously more audiences here online now. But there was 30,000 enrollments, was a huge number. And this is not many years back. I'm just talking about 2014 and 15, probably 14 and 15, yeah, even 2015. 30,000 enrollment with Microsoft, edX, and the top brands was a very good number to have. And of course, you'll have certain percentage of them completing and all of that. And this is at a worldwide level, and that Microsoft announced or mentioned in their learning partner piece as well. Now they will obviously, those numbers will be going through the roof for Microsoft or IBM. But if you just take SkillUp's number, and that AI number that we launched, the foundations of AI with NASCOM, we got close to 70,000 plus learners just on the SkillUp online platform in a matter of few months. So just in a matter of few years, that's the way. And this I'm talking about foundations of AI course. The 30,000, 40,000 number with a brand like Microsoft, with a product that would be primarily popular products, right? You will have those on the Office and SQL, or even Microsoft Exchange, or any of those top products, very well known. now there will be obviously Azure numbers are going through the roof. IBM similarly, AI numbers are going through the roof. Same thing, you look at enrollments on other platforms around AI, and you see that number has significantly gone up. And what we are really offering is how to tap that energy and give them a learning path. So people can enroll in foundational level courses very quickly. And then you got to tell them, okay, what's the next step? How do you now build more advanced skills around that? How do you now demonstrate that you've learned and you can apply in a workforce and all of that? But our data is just showing the interest on AI work, both from individuals and companies, is really high. And I don't remember off the cuff, but I think it's 40% plus organizations today don't even have a full plan on how do they use. They know they have the demand. Everybody is saying, I need to put programs. They don't know how to go about and get the AI skills that are relevant, that they can make a difference in this world today. So I think that's again a very solid trend that we see.
And just to add, I think yes, huge interest, huge volumes, and another testament to that is that on average, the queries that we get, just interest on our platform, about 70% of them, this year on an average has been around data science and AI. That's the kind of interest that people are showing on the platform, and a lot of those are converting into like lifelong learners with us on SkillUp Online in the field of AI and data science. So it's phenomenal the amount of interest that we see in them, and rightfully so, right? We know that AI is going to play a pivotal role in building nations and building economies in this industrial revolution 4.0, where data is the key.
Yeah, and one of the other trends, I want to mention from SkillUp's perspective, we are focusing also on what we term as human skills or professional skills. So what we realized that given this gap, given that only 5 to 7 or 5 to 8% are self-motivated and others need a nudge and guidance, and everybody's still trying to figure out how do I apply it, how do I get it, we're really thinking of what are those broader professional skills that can make a person successful. So we've invested in professional series courses that include, for example, growth mindset, how to have a growth mindset. We see many of the world leaders talk about that. And that's a very critical skill to have. If I can develop a growth mindset, I can go and apply it. And I know there is, everything is possible, and my confidence goes up to say, I will start my journey with the foundational steps in AI, and then I can take the next steps because I am going with a growth mindset. So we have that. We have executive presence, how to interact and in a virtual environment, how to collaborate in a virtual environment, very relevant course from a pandemic perspective, how to have executive presence in a virtual setting, in remote work setting, and things like that, which I think are also critical when you think about career success, and then marry that along with AI and technology track. And I think that's where most of our program, there's very heavily human element, whether we talk about blended learning or we talk about courses and skills themselves, saying pick the technology skill, but build the human skills to combine it and become successful in tomorrow's world.
Yeah, and I agree. I think I think it's a very critical problem to solve, which not a lot of people are focusing on. While everybody's talking about tech skilling, I see little focus even today in 2020 on enabling that tech talent to be successful in life. And if you really look deeper into the problem, we have really solid techies, but not all of them, not a lot of them. Actually, only a few of them can demonstrate their technical skills in a presentation, in a team setting, in an interview, where so many of them are not able to display. I think this human skills initiative that we are taking, that JPS is referring to, that's really solving that problem, that while technical upskilling, building those skills are extremely important, but how do you navigate in a professional setting? How do you demonstrate those skills? How do you build those people skills, those human skills to be successful and to be successful in career and also implement those. I think that is something that we generally see as a large gap, not just India, but worldwide. And that is, as a problem solving, we are really approaching that to make sure that we just not give people the tech skills, but also a well-rounded overall professional personality and character that they can succeed in life.
I think I agree with you both mentioning that we live in a point in time which is very exciting in terms of what technology can achieve. But last few months we have been going through a totally different phase, phase of life, or say, a crisis. And I remember people like Satya Nadella and Andrew Ng, when he was in NASCAR's experience AI, they were mentioning that in the last few months, like he was mentioning in June, that last 2 months saw a digital transformation that is equivalent to last 2 years.
Yeah.
So this pandemic has accelerated a lot process, as JPS and Ratan was mentioning. So what is my question is, I have a separate question for each of you. My first question is to JPS. What is your message for the students community out there, right? For them, in light of this pandemic and where the world is heading, the importance of AI and data and all, what is your message for the young students who are looking to, in this gig economy, how do they achieve success?
Yeah, I think the younger students are more digitally native than a lot of us. So that's one advantage in front of them. So if they can, my message really is this disruption is happening. They are naturally set up to go into this world because some of they don't even have to think twice of tools, apps, and stuff that they're using that we never had. So hence, they can think of newer use cases and scenarios more naturally. So if they can dive into this world with more confidence and really adapt to this more remote and virtual world, get connected, start talking about ideas that come to your mind and interacting on online forums, discussion groups, community, and engage along with their clear plan to build some skill and muscle, and take smaller steps. That's, if I was to give a guidance, is talk about where you want to go on a longer term, 3 or 5 year horizon, but then start taking the next step, because smaller steps keep you moving. If you think about a long-term path and want to achieve it in 1 month or 2 months, you won't be able to do it. But if you take smaller steps over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, you realize that you've just started on the fundamental track. And now, because you're participating more, you're trying to have a conversation more, even early when you were not understanding, you would have walked a long journey. And then you look back and say, wow, I already know this because I have just been there and I'm sticking with it. So I would really encourage them to do that. And then with the gig economy, again, start putting your profile and portfolio up on platforms. LinkedIn is one, Upwork is another one. And so just start putting your profile, and whatever skills you are building up, start updating and keep it refreshed. It'll allow you to go and drive towards your goals. I remember one of the programs we ran, a data science program we ran in a blended model for Bellevue Community College. SkillUp ran in partnership with Microsoft, and we had tremendous success. There were professionals, early in career folks, who showed up and they had to do some training online and some in the classroom. But what we why we had tremendous success, we asked them to present their project report on the last week. So they brushed up their presentation skills. Then we brought in folks and we got them to update their profile on Upwork, purely gig economy. And many of them had not even understood how Upwork works, and they got their profile updated. And the course that they had just taken on data science, They went and mentioned that I passed these courses, these are the topics I know, and they felt great about themselves and they thought they were going to take the next step. So my message really is take smaller steps, engage yourself, and continue to plod ahead.
And Ratan, thank you, JPS. That's a very good message. And coming to Ratan, what is your message for the existing workforce? You know, the mid-entry level employees, and the youngsters who are in the workforce, but as someone who advocates the need to be on constant demand, constantly upskilling themselves. What is your message?
Yes, thank you. So, well, I would say, I think for those of you who haven't realized, times are changing very fast. I remember, I can relate to this so much, this question, because, I've done corporate jobs for 15 plus years before really, being part of SkillUp and doing this exciting venture with JPS. But, there are often times when you get into the pay cycle mode, paycheck mode, and you get into a Monday to Friday mode. It's you get into a zone, and most of the people do, most of the employees do. They just sort of do enough to be successful at work. They take care of their performance appraisals. They take care of the things. I think now we are in a time or a phase of life that we cannot afford to stagnate. It is no more. I often say this. It is, it is no more. The choice of the ambitious. Upskilling is a mandate for all working professionals. Please do not stagnate. Constantly be on the lookout of improving yourself. You just Google. You will find so many experts, so many research bodies telling you 50% of the workforce is getting redundant in the next 3 to 5 years. So you very well know what profession, what skills you are on, and you can easily find out. But continue to upskill and get into that zone of, actually, I would say, become a lifelong learner. That's my short and simple message, because it's not changing anytime soon. The only thing that's constant is change. You have to be a lifelong learner, no matter what phase of your career you are at. Don't ever tell yourself that you've arrived and this is it. I don't need to upskill. I think that'll basically be beginning of the end. So be a lifelong learner, stay humble, stay hungry for knowledge, and continue to learn, because that's what we all are doing at SkillUp.
Thank you, Ratan. Thank you, JPS. It was incredible talking with you people. It was very insightful, and to be honest, I'm very, as an Indian also, I'm very proud to see the platform like SkillUp take off and the success it's being having. I mean, we have so many, and the purpose in which SkillUp is moving forward, and the value it offers, right? The upskilling itself is not an easy task. Skilling is not an easy task, but in the end, our culture believes that providing knowledge is one of the most sacred thing one can do. And in a digital world, it is through online platforms, right? We can't have the gurukula systems anymore, but it's exciting to see the great work you guys are doing. Thanks a lot, JPS. Thanks a lot, Ratan. I'm looking forward to catching up you guys with some time later. I hope we will have so much updates to share, and you guys will be on the trajectory of growth and success furthermore.
Thank you so much, Jibu. It was really wonderful to chat with you, and kind of being able to talk about our story, and also give our little learnings, whatever we can, so that you can share with the learners ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jibu. This was really phenomenal. I really had a great time talking to you. And I hope through this medium, through you, we're able to connect with the learners and give the message of learning and upskilling. Thank you.